Welcome to Simply Happy, a show where you'll be learning how to shift to a more positive perspective in easy to manage steps. Who am I? My name's Olivia. I'm a mother, a wife, the driven woman behind SimplyOli.com, and someone who ditched depression and bipolar disorder through mastering my mindset and emotions. So let's chat about some tips that have helped transform my life, because life doesn't need to look perfect to be happy. Hey there, what's up, and welcome back to another episode of Simply Happy. It's your girl, Olivia from SimplyOli.com, giving you the street smarts of mental health, because that's what's up. Anyway, I am so excited to dive into today's episode like I am with literally every week's episode. I am always excited. This is the life I live. Today, we are talking about legitimately how to stop distracting yourself, because I guarantee you're probably doing it in some way, shape, or form. So that's what we're going to chat about today. But before we dive in, I want to give you a little reminder. Take 1 to 5 minutes out of your day right now, pause it, or after the episode's done, and leave a review not only for this podcast on iTunes, but all of the other ones that you listen to as well. Just share the love, share some positive words, and show a little support for everybody that just floods into your ear holes every week. And that's a really good way for you to give back, feel good about yourself, and just spread some positive, constructive awesomeness. Anyway, I hope you take some time to do that. So let's go ahead. Let's just dive in. Let's dive into today's episode. So, how are you distracting yourself? Just take yourself and ask yourself, because that's weird. Take a minute and ask yourself, how am I distracting myself? I'm going to tell you right now, when there are things that I need to get done, that I'm really excited to get done, but for some reason, I'm nervous or scared or don't want to touch on it, I pick my nails. I get suddenly fascinated with my nails. It's ridiculous. I don't understand it. Distraction comes in so many forms. And whether you are distracted from doing the thing that you said you would do, doing something for somebody else, there are so many things that we can distract ourselves from. It's pretty insane. And those come in the form of, like I said, I look at my nails. You could be scrolling through your phone. You could be watching a lot of TV, playing video games. We distract ourselves, especially when it comes to tackling things in the mental health department, things that are bringing up stress in you, bringing up fear, bringing up worry, anxiety, sadness. There are so many things that when those emotions come up, right? When any kinds of I always call them negative emotions. They just aren't our besties. They're just not our besties. We'd rather have the happy and the joy and the excitement and all that stuff, or the calm and content. But when those emotions rise up, we figure out, we're really good at figuring out a way to distract ourselves. So for the example I used earlier where I start looking at my nails, I am feeling inner anxiousness about what will it mean when I get this done? What am I going to have to do next? What if this doesn't work, or whatever, when it comes to work related stuff? There are people that when they get sad, when they start to feel the tears come on, they will immediately try to pick up the happy beat, or they'll try to actually use a positive emotion to distract themselves from the sadness, from reflecting on what that is. And although sometimes distraction can be a good redirection, it can also be hurting us more in the long run. So what distraction is really doing is it's stopping you from taking the time to sit and reflect on what exactly you're distracting yourself from. What does that mean? Where is that coming from? What is it exactly? So like I said, why was I scared of finishing up a project? Why was that causing anxiousness in me that I was like literally holding off finishing it? It's because what if it doesn't work? And so instead of sitting there and thinking like, okay, Olivia, what if this doesn't work? Then what? Well, I put it out there, and if it doesn't work, then I can reassess and figure out where to go from there. And if it does work, then oh my gosh, I've gotten this done. It's a success. Holy cow. Wow, that's amazing. And then I can figure out where to grow from there. So instead of doing that, I would just sit there and look at my nails for 15 minutes. When in reality, I could have sat, reflected on it, and then felt better at the end of that scenario, and then gotten back to what I was doing. So let's try to stop distracting ourselves so much and actually take the time to reflect. If somebody asks you how you're doing and it brings up tears in your eyes, and you immediately want to stop that because, like, who wants to cry? Take a second. Let yourself reflect on it. Ask yourself questions and open up an inner dialogue rather than drowning that out with TV or drowning that out with your phone or even drowning that out with consuming your personal time with time you're spending on other people. Because that's another way that we do that too. Is we'll use taking care of other people as a distraction from what we want to do for ourselves or what we need to take care of in our own lives. Dude, sit in silence and reflect. It's so important. That's why people encourage other people to meditate. You hear so much about meditating or self-hypnosis, and these are all things that I'm an advocate for too, things like journaling or just having time to yourself. Dude, time where it's silent is scary because that is time for your brain to reflect. It's time for those, it's time where those things can rise up in you. So instead of pushing it all down and not facing it, take the time to address it because all it's going to do is build a better relationship with yourself. And you'll be able to work through whatever it is that's bugging you a whole lot faster. So much faster. Oh my gosh. So that's what I encourage you to do today. This isn't a super long episode, but it really is. If there is something on your mind that you know that you've been and maybe you don't know. So if you are distracting yourself and you know, right, take the time and reflect on that. Anytime that distraction pops up and go okay, I'm aware, I'm distracting myself. Let me reverse engineer this and figure out why I'm doing it and see if I can work through that. If you don't know, then try to become aware. I call it being hyper aware, but try to become aware of when you are distracting yourself. Are you eating, when people eat, quote unquote, eat their emotions, right? Do you try to distract yourself with food? Do you do it with all the other things I mentioned? Regardless, you'll find your thing, but be aware if you feel kind of a heavy emotion and then you immediately jump to something else because that thing that you jump to, that's the way that you cope. That's your distraction. See what you can do without that and see if you can start to reverse engineer. I hope this episode was helpful for you. I hope you take the time to share it with somebody that maybe it could help. All the good things. And I hope you take some time to check out SimplyOli.com. All that jazz. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. I love you so much. As always, you keep staying simply awesome. I'll keep staying Simply Oli. And I'll chat with you on the next pod. Bye.